What's up, gamers and geeks? Matt here as usual with That's Fair Podcasting and Gaming Geeks Live. And how many times have I said in the past, for at least those who have followed me so far, how many times have I constantly beat it into, these videos? Never, ever, ever pre-order, under any circumstances, ever pre-order a video game, especially a AAA title video game that's coming out. Well, I'm going to be a hypocrite here because this game coming out, I'm going to tell you, I have a feeling is more than safe to pre-order because I myself will pre-order when that time comes. And that game is Exodus by Archetype Entertainment. So stay tuned. This is a game, Exodus, that I have been excited about for some time now, having seen the trailer for it. It's been out for a while. Archetype Entertainment is made of some of the former developers from the Mass Effect trilogy that we have all grown to love so much. And I gotta tell you, with the following few people that I will mention working on this, formerly of BioWare, I have full trust that you can pre-order this one for sure. But anyway, if you are new here, please feel free to subscribe to That's Fair Podcasting or Gaming Geeks Live. I want to thank all the subscribers that have jumped onto That's Fair lately. Thank you so much. I sincerely appreciate it. Maybe like the video, help us in that algorithm. And if you don't do that, you just watch this video. That's honestly what means the most. And thank you very much for joining. But as I said, I am Matt. And, I've hyped up this game Exodus a little bit in the past with a couple of videos. But as it draws closer to hopefully a 2026 release, I can't say enough about some of the former devs from BioWare, now Archetype Entertainment, overseeing this operation. And this game looks amazing with a hell of a story, I think, that is fresh. It's an inventively new idea, and I couldn't be more excited. Let's start off with head of the entire studio. His name is James Olin. And this guy originally oversaw as lead designer at BioWare when he did a lot of Baldur's Gate series, mind you. Knights of the Old Republic, my favorite RPG video game ever, of all time, Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, and Dragon Age Origins, where he oversaw a lot of that, who he would ultimately lead BioWare in 2018, and for good reason. And I gotta say, this guy being legitimately the head of the studio gives me great hope that Exodus is going to be something that's going to be, although it's coming out later on, it could be a series of games down the pipeline that I hope lead us into at least another trilogy, if not more. And I think the right people are in place to make this game great. Then General Manager and Vice President Chad Robertson, who formerly worked at BioWare too, is also overseeing this. And then you have other people that they trust close with them, working in close proximity on this game that just simply looks amazing. And when I get to the story, I've talked about it in the past, the story, but guys, I haven't been excited. Of all the video games coming out, there's quite a few. This is the one I'm most excited for from Archetype Entertainment. Then a developer, Drew Karpyshyn, and if I'm butchering that last name, I am so sorry. I don't mean to, but he was a lead writer who also worked on Mass Effect 2 at BioWare, as well as, he worked on KOTOR, again, also another one of them. And so, he joined Archetype Entertainment in 2020, but he did a lot of work on some of the titles that we have loved so much. And guys, these are developers that had nothing to do with Dragon Age: The Veilguard, which I think is a major step in the right direction, thank God. Because I don't know what BioWare was doing in that division that worked on that absolute turd of a game, but they shit something out that smelled so bad and delivered so terribly that, the Dragon Age series itself may never recover from that. I honestly don't think it will. They left BioWare pretty much not only before Dragon Age: The Veilguard, but before, not so much Andromeda. I think that Robertson was there during Andromeda. Don't quote me on that. But I do know that they left before Anthem and Dragon Age: The Veilguard. And I think it was one of those situations where you had a lot of people also jumping from CD Projekt Red to form Rebel Wolves, and they've got their own game coming out called Blood of Dawnwalker, which looks amazing. But like those guys at CDPR, I think the guys at BioWare, these three, saw the writing on the wall and they're like, fuck this. They knew how it was getting progressive. I think they kind of saw it heading in that direction and they jumped ship just in the nick of time. In this trailer, you can definitely tell that it's old school as far as the vibe. It's very heavily Mass Effect influenced. The trilogy, mind you, nothing more. It's very influenced by that, and you're going to have a lot of the same choices. A lot of the consequences rely on these choices, and it's farther advanced than Mass Effect was considered as far as space and time. But I cannot wait because they've been working on this for some time, and I'm not quite sure when Archetype Entertainment was formed, but I can tell you that they've been working on Exodus for some time, and we could be looking at a 2026 release. To me, this is probably going to be the much-needed predecessor to the Mass Effect series, with some of these old-school badasses working on this game. And what I mean by that is, obviously, BioWare fell off after, I want to say Dragon Age Inquisition is when BioWare stopped pumping out anything that was worth anything. And I think Mary DeMarle, who is one of the lead writers on it, she did a lot of Deus Ex work. So there is hope in the Mass Effect 5 area, but I don't know. I can just tell you that I don't think we're going to see all that progressive shit. Watch the trailers. You're not going to get DEI. You're not going to get progressive shit. You got old school developers who already have a feel and know what gamers want. They know what worked. They know what formula has worked in the past. And if it's not broke, man, don't fix it. And they have that mentality, and I think that's what's going to make Exodus Part of None a step above Mass Effect. With basically a new story and a fresh perspective with old school mentality developers, you're going to have something that is set farther into the future, as I have mentioned. But in this game, I don't know how many of these are obviously going to be visited. It's not going to be like a Starfield where you can visit 1,000 empty planets by any means. But in the story of Exodus, there's already at this point in the future over 1 million planets that have been colonized and now habited by humanity. And not only are there settlements, not only are these planets settled, but there are a new modified human species known as Celestials now known to be in existence. And Celestials aren't your average human. They're a little bit more with a God-given ability to do a little bit more than a human can. Very little's known about the Celestials. However, it's an interesting take on humanity, and I guess maybe it's something that is a genetic possibility because it's so far into the future. You play as a protagonist, which I'm kind of getting the sense you're going to be able to choose a male or female given the universal name. First name is June. June Olean is a Celestial hybrid. Your mother was a Celestial and your father was human, which grants you the ability to actually adapt and recover and interact with the actual Celestial technology that you'll find throughout the course of this game, throughout the course of the missions and whatnot. And that's why your protagonist will be able to legitimately interact with Celestial technology that otherwise normal humans could not. The Celestials are an advanced alien civilization, formerly humans, that I'm thinking genetically moved on from the typical humans' genetics, and ultimately they become a threat to actual humanity. And the game's premise is the struggle between humanity and Celestials. And I don't know how much of the story is actually tied into that, but that is the premise of the game: is the actual Celestials and humanity more or less struggling against one another. Are they at full war? Who knows? But that is the main premises of Exodus. Yes, this game is going to be considered AAA. It's a sci-fi RPG. And let's be realistic, man. The AAA video game industry nowadays is so troublesome. It's so worrisome. I mean, it's like you can't trust it. That's why I follow certain YouTubers. These guys have saved me a buku amount of money that I haven't actually otherwise would have dropped my money on, just being part of that normal cultural auto intake crowd that just sees Dragon Age and buys it. No. Thanks to these YouTubers that actually worry about consumers' money, they are cut above the rest the best in the business. And this is a AAA title, like I said, a sci-fi RPG that I honestly feel I can trust. I'm going to literally and legitimately pre-order this one. Archetype Entertainment specifically, and their devs, they have restored my faith in some of this AAA industry that has otherwise been dog shit. So is Rebel Wolves with the Blood of Dawnwell. Again, release date is believed to be sometime in 2026. It's not solidified yet, but that is the belief. And yes, it will be on platforms such as PC, PlayStation 5, and Xbox Series S or X. And, you know, I'll probably purchase it for my Xbox X, I guess, Series X. Even though I've become more of a PlayStation 5 guy, because these single player games just seem to be better overall on the selection with Sony versus Microsoft. So in closing, you have a game coming out that I think is going to literally be the Mass Effect. It's going to precede Mass Effect, and I think it's going to succeed. If you want just my personal opinion, when this comes available for pre-order, I would encourage you to do it. I know I plan on doing it. Doesn't mean you have to, but I'm going to tell you what. Archetype Entertainment with some of those old school developers that are coming out and giving us back games that they know has been a successful ingredient, a complete successful, and the genre that they gave us with Mass Effect, especially the trilogy, was unlike any other trilogy of video games I've ever played before, and maybe even space RPGs. There have been great RPGs that have, you know, been able to compete with it, such as a Witcher 3. And now you could call Cyberpunk among those. But I think that Archetype Entertainment is going to be bringing us something special. And I would tell you to pre-order it. I plan to myself. But guys, that's really all I had. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this video worth the shite, give it a like. Help us in that algorithm. Please feel free to subscribe to That's Fair Podcasting or Gaming Geeks Live. And if you don't do any of those and you just watch this pointless video, thank you so much. That's what matters the most. And to all you gamers out there, all love, and I'm outro.